Welcome to the ID10T podcast number 1046. I have had an amazing time on the road so far for the Wizard Guitar Tour. I was in Philly and Columbus, and then soon, at the end of February, I will be at the Punchline in San Francisco. And then the following weekend, those dates are the 27th, 28th, and 29th of February. And then the following weekend, March 5, 6, 7, I'll be at the Punchline in Sacramento. It's all a part of the Wizard Guitar Tour. If you go to wizardguitar.com, it will take you to the ID10T tour page, and you can get tickets and see info and all that sort of stuff. So please come out. The shows have been super fun, and I have really been enjoying playing that dang Wizard guitar on the road. So again, thanks to my artist friend Bunny Reese for painting it and doing a spectacular job. It is magical. Let's talk about you, the ID10T community, like Jeremy, who writes, my intrepid husband, Todd Glider, made a thing when he left his job 3 years ago. He decided to learn about Barcelona, Spain, where we had been living for 6 years. There weren't many books in English, and most of the audiovisuals were tourism related, so he started to interview people. 3 years, 50 interviews, and a lot of research later, he has a completely self-funded and produced 10-part documentary series called Catalunya, Barcelona, the Catalan Story of Barcelona. It looks at 300 years of Barcelona's history from the perspective of the Catalan identity, and you can find it on Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play, or go to catbarfilm.com for more information. Please support his commitment and drive. This is a phenomenal way to, you saw something you were interested in, and rather than go, well, I guess we're not going to learn about this thing, you just went out and made it and created a thing where there formerly was a gap. So thank you, Jeremy, and well done, Todd. That is events at ID10T.com if you want your thing mentioned or promoted here on the ID10T podcast. This episode, Alison Brie, number 3. So this is the third time Alison Brie has been on in our 10-year history. And, she's the best. Alison Brie is just the best. So talented and just so effortlessly funny. And she has co-written a new movie called Horse Girl, which is on Netflix, and it is available now. It just dropped. Today's February 7th, and it came out today. So please go watch and support that. And also Glow. The fourth and final season is coming up soon. And all the seasons that are already up they're just on Netflix, because that's how our entertainment is now. It's just there. It's just there for you. So watch, enjoy, support Alison Brie. And this is the ID10T podcast number 1046, which begins right now.
Initiating ID10T protocol.
No.
Whoa, we're going rogue. Whoa, I feel so naked. Just my voice just echoing throughout the world.
This the raw dog version of podcasting. No headphones.
So edgy. Living on the edge.
I'm going to use my ears to listen. I'm not going to use
very
amplification
old school.
Devices. The headphones I just never got into, because I think anything that makes people feel like
suddenly you're performing because you're listening to your own voice in the headphones, and you feel like you're doing
you don't get lost in the conversation. It just feels so like. And then also, sometimes people are coming here in between things.
Sure.
It's like maybe they don't want their hair matted down by headphones.
That's very considerate of you.
You know what? I try to make sure it's comfortable for everybody.
I certainly wouldn't want my perm matted down by headphones.
It's so funny.
I might be running by the market later.
I feel like I just have to tell people that when you came in, you go, look, I just got a perm. We're about to start on Glow. I'm like, I know, I follow you on Instagram. Because you do this is such a weird business. Like, because I imagine like when Taika was shooting Jojo Rabbit and he had that Hitler mustache for however long, 6 or 8 weeks, whatever it was.
He was just out at a bar. People are like,
this is for a movie.
Taika, cool look.
No. It's for like it's for a movie where I play Hitler. What? Well, no. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but it's actually a heartwarming story of. All right, dude. Whatever.
I don't envy Taika's having to explain that to many people, or even that whole press. Or even as I was describing it to like my Jewish mom, being like, "We should watch this tonight."
Yeah.
She was like, "What?"
Well, I know what it sounds. Okay, you just like
no, but it's funny, but also it's heartfelt. Look, the kid's imaginary friend is Hitler. It's
an anti-hate satire. Yeah. You'll feel it's not. I know it sounds weird,
but it's actually wonderful.
That is I can just even imagine the pitch for that movie. You know, I'm sure there was a hear me out.
It took me a long time to see it because I was just like, I don't understand.
I'm not sure that. All right, okay.
It sounds bold. It does sound bold.
I know it's nominated for everything, so
yes. So I was like, I guess I'll watch it.
Now you're totally off the hook. You're like, it's nominated for an Oscar. Of course, I need to see this fucking movie. So you getting ready for Glow, by the way, is always so amazing because your Instagram posts turn into this like inspirational, like Rocky Balboa training montage.
I get very excited to post stuff from the gym because I don't know if people realize that, I was not an athletic child or teen or person in my 20s.
Right.
And especially in high school was really just like more theater nerd.
Sure.
And didn't do any sports ever. I just have never done a lot of physical stuff. So when I started training with my trainer, I certainly couldn't do even one pull-up. An assisted pull-up was difficult for me. Like the stuff that I've learned to do and worked really fucking hard at. I get very proud, and I hope that it inspires others to be like, look, I really couldn't do this until I was like in my early 30s.
Yeah, but also like it lets people know, acting is pretend. We pretend for a living. However, there are some physical, like it takes,
there's stuff we do for real.
Stuff you work. Yeah.
Definitely. And I like to remind people that we do our own stunts on Glow because it's very important to me, even though we also have amazing stunt doubles and they do the stunts as well. We all do the stunts. It's really fun and great.
Now, because of this show, did something awaken in you where you're like, I think I might kind of dedicate my life to fitness now, or is it just during?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I already had been sort of casually strength training.
Yeah.
Even when I was
casual strength training, you're just curling and hey, what are you guys up to?
No, I had the same trainer I have now, and I was working out with him when I was like working on Community. I remember the first year that I started training with Jason Walsh, I think honestly was like my fattest year because I started training with him and was training like 1 day a week, but also was drinking a lot on the weekend. Like a friend convinced me like, what's also good for your body? Strength training. And I had been very actressy, just like cardio. I was like, sure, I'll get into that. And then was like, wow, I'm really strength training. So I got to eat a lot more.
Yeah.
And he eventually was like, so you're only coming 1 day a week. Is there something you want us to focus on that 1 day? I don't know that you're going to see a lot of progress.
To be fair, you're still 1 day stronger than you were before.
I was 1 day stronger.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So for Glow, then I got more and more into it. And it was fun to watch because he has a lot of, celebrity clients that train for movies.
Yeah.
And right away, Emily Blunt, who had recommended Jason to me, was training for Edge of Tomorrow, that movie with Tom Cruise, when I first started training with him. So then I watched her go through this incredible transformation. And he would, of course, I feel like he likes to show the women at the gym each other's like videos of each other training to like rev them up.
Sure.
Just as like when Brie Larson was training for Captain Marvel recently, he was showing her videos of me and then he was showing me videos of her. I feel like just pitting us against each other, but in like a friendly rivalry where you're like, holy shit, that's amazing. I want to do it. Can we try that tomorrow?
Of course. Listen, I there are like subreddits where I'll look at people's transformation just because it's so inspiring, or like, fucking Kumail's like ripped pictures,
Oh, yeah. He trained with Jason for a moment before he left town.
Yeah, so I think it is. I think it is. By the way, I think it'd be really funny if you like if you just showed off like ripped abs and be like going back to play Trudy Campbell. Like, why would Trudy have? No one was ripped in the 60s.
Well, that will be the question when I finish Glow, because it's like, so now I've been really addicted to it because it feels so good. It's the whole process has been very empowering, and especially like that goes along with the wrestling too. The wrestling was the first step of like, wow, this feels super empowering to do something that's very scary and just run at it and be fearless and connect with my body in a deeper way, not be at odds with it, really be like, oh, I have to love and trust my body and get it super strong, and also love and trust these women that I'm working with and support each other. So it was like a big love fest with that stuff. And then the strength training fed into it and continues to make me just feel good. And as a person with, probably a lot of body issues that a lot of women and men and everybody struggle with, I found that strength training was such a good way to combat those just in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think even beyond, whatever idea people have in their head of like, my body should look like X, Y, or Z. It's like, no, you should just make healthy choices.
Definitely.
And then whatever happens, like, but you shouldn't, I feel like people shouldn't go for some unrealistic ideal, but it's just like, oh, am I feeling better? Am I making healthy choices? Because as we get older, this shit starts to break down.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it does just feel good. There are times when if I'm taking a break, well, if I'm forced to take a break from strength training because work is getting really crazy and you're running on empty, and I'll notice myself even getting skinnier. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, I don't like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I feel better when I feel strong and have muscles on my bones and stuff like that. But yes, I do. So I keep it up like between seasons, and I love it so much. And it is a little bit of I don't know. I feel like when season 1 of Glow first came out, there was doing interviews where people were like, and have your muscles like ever gotten in the way of you getting a job? To which I was like, first of all, thank you so much. No, that's never been a problem. I don't think I've reached like the rock status of my body.
We're going to hire Alison Brie, but too ripped.
Too ripped.
Turns out
too muscular.
Too ripped. Yeah, that's it. That is the funny excuse that people are like, oh, I don't want to work out because I'll get too ripped. And it's like, do you know what you would have to do in your life?
It's impossible. You would have to be eating so much and taking extra protein supplements.
Up everything else in your life to get to that point.
And lifting like 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, those people are so dedicated.
Yeah. It's just not, it's not realistic. But I also think it's great that we live in a time where our business is about, like, when did comedians ever think they would ever have to get into shape for a thing?
It's
like,
true.
That's just not what comedy it was before.
It's true. And I think that some people resent it because they're like, what? Now we all have to fucking look attractive all the time. But it's really when you're not thinking about it like that, coming at it from a health place and a place that is just about feeling good. Yeah. And then in turn looking good.
Yes, that's a byproduct.
Nice.
But you just feel better about yourself because I started working with I've had the same trainer for 15 years.
Oh wow.
And I just started doing it because I had severe back issues and I was never in shape. And, I had just gotten sober then after a couple of years. And so I was like, I want to do something for myself. But I think it's just that sort of thing that you do where you're saying to yourself, hey, you know what? I'm worth it to invest a little bit into my health. And it kind of just makes you feel better overall for that reason.
Definitely. I mean, I also think there are larger things about it, like goal setting and goal achieving. There are other things that are like life lessons that are, if you work hard at something, then you get the thing, that makes you feel good. But definitely, yes, going into the hardest I ever have trained with Jason, which would probably be before season 1. Yeah. It was all about protecting my body because we were doing the stunts. Sure. Like he was like, obviously you'll look amazing. That's the byproduct. Yeah. But first and foremost, we want you to be like padded with muscles. Sure. So when your body slams onto the mat, you're not hurting your back or your knees. Are these
the muscles that are going to get in the way of you getting other roles?
They're on the verge of getting in the way, but I'm keeping it in check,
I just never, when I started, I never thought, because, people go, oh, do you feel, how do you go? I don't ever feel like going to the gym. And I always go, yeah, I rarely feel like doing it, but you just make your feet walk there and then you do it and then it's done.
I guess I feel like I I disagree. I often really feel like
Really?
I'd
Oh, that's great.
dance into the gym.
Oh, that's
I really
fantastic.
like it.
That's
I think I
fantastic.
must just know how fucked up I am mentally when I don't go. So I like wake up like, yes, most of the time. But then some mornings, like this morning, I'll wake up being like, my whole body hurts. There
Yeah.
are times, and then that part is
Well, Muhammad Ali said he would do sit-ups until they started hurting, and then only then would he start counting them because the feeling, the idea being that like you grow, like that's where the growth happens. Not that you like. I don't have the kind of trainer that's like push through the pain. He always says like check in with your body. How does this feel? This kind of hurts.
Totally.
Don't do it. But I just mean there are those times where like, oh, I have 3 more of this thing to do, and you kind of find the strength to go. And it's like those are the ones that count, or the times you go where you don't feel like going.
Yes, of course. It's about, right. And also it's that thing that you realize that it's not like you're gonna ever achieve the thing that enables you to stop working out.
Right.
Like it's a lifelong, when people are like, it's a lifestyle, you're like, but it actually is because, it's more just about forming good habits.
Yes,
and one of those
because-
habits is just getting up and going.
Yeah, because we don't want to get to be older and then go, I should have probably stretched.
When should I?
Yeah, because I remember I said to him once, like when I first started learning about stretching, I was like, so I'm going to have to fucking do this forever? And he's like, yeah, if you want to feel okay.
Yeah.
But just don't think about forever. Just kind of get through each day as you can.
I feel like when you were telling that story just now about Muhammad Ali, do you remember?
Yeah, wait a minute, what happened? Who said this?
And his sit-ups. It makes me think of my acting teacher in my first year at Cal Arts who told us a different story, a conflicting Muhammad Ali crunch story. And it was something about how like he got to a place of ultimate fitness where then he only did 5 crunches a day because he was already so fit.
Then it just didn't matter anymore.
As I'm even saying this, I'm like, what was the point of telling us that? Like with acting, we should just
He's like,
get so good at acting.
but anyway, you're going to be actors, so don't worry about fitness. Yeah, don't even worry about it.
Until like the 2020s and then
Let's
the
see.
late 2010s. And then even comedians are going to have to be in good shape.
Maybe he was trying to inspire you to get to a level of excellence with your acting that it felt effortless.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did he drop down and be like, look at me do all these crunches? And you're like,
And
all
then
right,
he
dude.
did do, no, he was very old.
Oh, okay.
He never really did anything physical in
wasn't
class,
crunchy,
but he was
he did-
wonderful.
he
He
was
was
a
a wonderful
wonderful
teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he was trying to tell us about not overworking, or
Got it.
you know what I mean? Probably not overworking a
Yeah.
scene, overstressing a monologue,
That's the thing, because
over rehearsing.
my wife wasn't able to, ages ago, she got injured on a set of something.
Oh, geez,
And she was down for a while.
nightmare.
And when she started to work out again, I had to remind her, like, you don't have to do all of, like, you don't try to get back to where you were in one workout. Just do a
Yes.
little bit, like, because we do think, like, I want to get fit in one. And I'm like, no. Just show up, take it easy, go
Totally.
easy on yourself.
Always that first day back after like a vacation, or if I've
Yeah.
been out of town for a couple weeks, I'm like, I'm back, baby. And like 20 minutes later, I'm like, guys, so this is my first day back, guys.
Yeah.
I probably we're gonna take it easy.
Because I remember saying to my trainer, like, what if I wanted to, like, should I be doing, like, this is very early on, I was like, should I be doing, like, a bunch of abs every day? And he was like, you need to rest. Like, you have to, your body has to, like, you tear the muscle and then it has to repair.
Yes.
You can't overexert and kill yourself.
Rest is very important. I do think that's a difficult thing mentally to make yourself rest.
Yeah.
Once you're in a mode.
Yeah.
Of stuff.
Yeah, because we are, listen, maybe our culture and the internet has conditioned us to think that we can get everything we want immediately,
Blame the internet.
of which we
For
have contributed.
everything.
Of which we have happily contributed. It's like, I can't believe, Facebook wants all of our info, and then you just go, agree. Like,
Yeah.
then you like totally co-sign it.
And then you'll be like, oh, cool ad. I'm so glad they sent this to me. That is something I'm interested in. Instagram. Thank you so much. Wait a minute.
God, I've had so many bad experiences with Instagram ads.
Really?
Do you buy stuff on Instagram ads?
No, but I do buy stuff. I'm very susceptible to like trendsetters, people that I follow.
Sure.
who post and tag their clothing or their workout gear
Yes.
or cute shoes or makeup or stuff like that. But it's not. It's people. A lot of the time, it's actual people that I know and trust. Like if a hair stylist or a makeup artist that I know and trust their style, I just trust them and be like, oh, they're using that product now. They're selling that now. I should get it. I actually think that's how I do the majority of my shopping.
Sure, which totally makes sense. But I get these targeted ads. Hey, Kaylin, can you just go open the dishwasher? Because the cycle is done. It'll keep beeping.
Oh, I was like, what is in the dishwasher that you're going to show me that was from a targeted ad? Can you go open the dishwasher? I got to show you this set of glasses.
I don't know if you're familiar with Amway, but I get these targeted ads on Instagram, and I'll be like, hey, these shoes look really cool. So this has happened countless times. So I order them. A plastic bag from China shows up.
No.
The shoes look nothing like the ad, nor are they the right size. But there's no paperwork. Like, there's no way to send them back because all the writing is in Chinese, and there's no, return.
And you literally just clicked on something and one time, and you were like, oh, I got that now.
Yeah.
Anything arriving just in a plastic bag is already so sad.
It's already suspect. Like, it is sad. It was just like they're like, ugh, who fucking cares? But a wardrobe stylist told me that what's happened is that that there are a lot of Instagram ads that are companies that have like surpluses or like even factory outlet style stuff. And they've realized like, oh, we can just offload this onto Instagram to get rid of this stuff. But there's like no return.
It's very smart, but it definitely sounds problematic. I'm shocked to hear that the items are not the actual item that you see.
It's just like
Do I sound very naive?
No, oh my God.
I'm shocked. But the shoes don't even look the same? That's crazy.
So you're saying that he wasn't a Nigerian prince who just needed to hold some money in your account for a while?
This is why I just go straight to like Emily Radzikowski's account to be like, what's her bra and underwear line she's selling? Thank you. Great. There's like at least some line of accountability.
But see, that's the smart way to do it. But I'm just like, I am who they've designed the targeted ads for.
Clearly.
Like a guy who's at 2 o'clock in the morning is like,
duped.
Fuck, I'll get these. Oh, these look, it's not going to happen an 8th time in a row. And then of course, oh, God damn it. This isn't even what I asked for.
Sounds more like it's your problem. It's like you have an addiction to these ads, to buying things.
Off of ads. Yeah. I know. Because listen, we live... At no other time in human history did every citizen live like a goddamn pharaoh.
Definitely.
Where you could just summon anything to your house.
Snap your fingers. Yeah, that is pretty crazy. It's true.
We're spoiled.
We really are, especially with Amazon's like overnight, one day free shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's also convenient. Even though I know we're anti-Amazon. Look, I'm not trying to start controversy. But did I order some plastic spray bottles? Did I, a day ago, say we need plastic spray bottles to keep the cat from scratching the couch? And voila.
You have them.
I was using them in under 24 hours.
Well, also, you could probably, and not just that, but there are probably ones that are specifically designed to squirt cats. Like, they're probably
I didn't seek that out, but I was looking at different designs and color aesthetics. Because it's going to be sitting in the living room.
Of course, it's a part of yes, exactly. It's a part of the whole thing.
Decor.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make sure it's fashionable at the same time as being functional to keep the cat. But I guess I just hate that I love it so much. I just hate like, God damn it, this is so convenient, and I'm angry.
Got me again.
But that's what I think. Amazon is not just a sales portal. I feel like it is the most comprehensive psychological profile of hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah, I guess. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, it tracks everything that you...
Oh, sure. So, like, even Amazon is, like, suggesting things that you buy.
Well, yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
So in the old...
How am I getting duped by Amazon?
In the mall days... So, like, malls were very mathematically designed. Like, they figured out specific ways, like... If you come out of this type of store, you are X% more likely to buy this kind of thing.
Sure. When you're walking here from the food court, you'll have to go through here. Yeah.
But with Amazon, it is specific. Like, it's not just theoretical data. Like, they're using like legitimate, actual, practical data for how every individual,
Yeah.
like to map someone's consumerism says so much about who they are and their psychology.
But are you buying stuff on Amazon that they are suggesting you to buy?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Okay,
Sometimes.
well,
yeah,
so
yes.
again, I just want to go work backwards again to the root of the problem. Because when I go on Amazon, it's a targeted attack. I'm like, you know what? I need to repurchase my shampoo.
Right.
Let me get it. And all right, now it's here.
just
I
imagine you
seldom am just
clicking
browsing on Amazon.
You don't just go to Amazon and be like, what do you got for me today,
I
Amazon?
definitely don't.
I like the idea of you going into Amazon and it going, hey, Allison, would you like... And you go, fuck you.
No.
Nice try.
Just the water bottles, thanks.
Get out of my head.
It's true. I even get suspicious when it'll be like, you've bought this before, want to buy it again. I'm like, relax, Amazon. And then I'm like, oh yeah, actually that is what I wanted to buy
Yeah, but that's
again.
also what stalkers do. Hey, you like this thing and you want this thing?
I've noticed you like this thing.
Stop noticing me. You want to be... Here, other people bought... I don't want to be like people I don't know.
It's true. People who like this also bought this.
Well, go. Fuck them. I'm not going to buy it then.
Yeah, in your face,
I'm gonna
people
be the
who bought this. This will affect no one but myself, and I will not purchase it.
Do you force yourself to do like in real life experiences to prevent from being sort of coddled by the conveniency algorithms of the internet?
You mean, do I sit there and mentally think it through? What do you mean real life experiences?
I mean, like sometimes I could go, well, I could buy this on Amazon, or I could just get in my car and go to a store to just be out in the world, to not just depend on this thing so much.
Sure. No, I don't really do that. I love shopping online, but I have my, with clothes sometimes I'll do a thing where I'll buy some stuff online thinking from a store that has an actual location in LA.
Yes.
And I'll be like, I'm going to buy these things. I'm going to try them on. And then that'll give me a reason to go in. I'll go to the store to
Gotcha.
return or exchange if
Gotcha.
I need to go.
So that makes sense. So basically the internet has allowed you to make your home the dressing room.
Exactly.
The
Which
changing-
is better because you would still be surprised how many stores have terrible lighting in dressing rooms. How have
Really?
we not figured this out yet? Just straight
Oh, straight down?
every crevice revealed. And we've already discussed I have amazing muscle structure.
Almost too
but
much.
it's almost too much in
It's
that
almost too
lighting.
much. It's almost too much. Oh my God, you're right. Why don't they invest in like insane lighting systems?
I would say shout out to Reformation. Do you know this clothing store, women's
No.
clothing store? They've been redoing their stores, but maybe just in New York and LA are like the first test runs where you go in the dressing room. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
You go in their store and I love their clothes, and they do some good stuff environmentally. They're recycling fabrics
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
So anyway, you go in their store and there's clothes on the racks, but you don't touch those clothes. You go to, like you're shopping online, you go to a screen and you look through the stuff and you put it in your basket, you put it in your closet, and then you'll be like ready to try these on. And then they'll be like, Allison, your room is ready. And then you go in a room and the dressing room has a closet. You open the closet, the stuff's all hanging in there.
Son of a bitch.
And they have 3 different lighting settings that are like mood, sunny, like blue. Like,
fucking brilliant.
it's brilliant. I always leave with something I don't need.
Of course.
I'm like, wow. You put on a soft kind of like yellowy light and you're like, this looks amazing on
That
me.
is brilliant.
It really is.
I wonder how many times, I feel like what happens if I had shopped at a place like that, I'd go, this looks good. I'd get it home and go, this doesn't look at
Yeah,
all
wait a
like what I
minute.
thought. I don't have 3 different lighting settings in my home.
I guess I've never fully I've gotten home and been like, I didn't need this. But I never have felt fully duped. I actually just think they're putting their best foot forward.
They are trying to give you a good experience.
Yes, and it's very nice.
Well, we were driving by the the Grove yesterday, and there's a giant, it's like right on Fairfax and 3rd.
Yes.
And I think there's a Whole Foods there, but then there's this giant retail store that had been empty for a while. And it was like, it said like, the Britney Zone. I'm like, what the fuck is the Britney Zone? And Lydia was driving, so she goes, look it up. And I looked it up. So it is actually the most genius thing I've ever heard of. It is it's a pop-up retail experience
Go
for
on.
Britney Spears fans.
Wow.
So first of all, you have to buy, if I'm understanding this correctly, if I'm not, please don't sue me, Britney Zone. I think you have to buy tickets to go.
Whoa.
So you buy tickets to go.
Twist.
And so they get you on that front, and then you go in, and then it's like a walkthrough of a bunch of Britney shit, like sets from her videos and stuff.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you can buy retail stuff. So you're basically paying to go buy retail stuff.
Are you buying things, like actual pieces of clothing that she wore, or like replicas, like they make them in every size, and here's a Britney-ish top, and now we're marketing?
I don't know if it's that or just T-shirts that say toxic on it. I have no idea what it is.
Cool. Oh, you didn't buy tickets and go in? You didn't buy tickets?
Not yet.
Okay.
But it just seemed like, what an interesting idea. And it's there for like 4 months of the idea that we're at a point in consumerism where you can charge people to go shopping,
just to be in the store.
But they have curated what sounds like an experience that if you are a Britney fan, it makes like you would. I mean, that's not that much different than I guess what a museum does. You get a curated experience that you pay to get in for, and then there's a gift shop on the way out. It's
very LA. It sort of reminds me of like the Wax Museum, which I've actually never been in, but it reminds me of the idea of it, or like those Saved by the Bell, the Max.
Oh, we went to that,
restaurant.
and it was fucking great.
I didn't get to go, but I
great.
was. I definitely considered it.
It was great. I mean, they got the detailing down, and it really was like, oh shit. And when we were there, Mr. Belding was there.
Oh my God.
It really was the full experience.
And how was the food?
It was fine. Like it was like I think if you went to, I don't even remember what the food was like, but I can't imagine that the food for the restaurant in Saved by the Bell, like it was just like a diner.
Burgers and fries.
It's burgers and fries. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like the same. It's like if you're gonna go to Johnny Rockets and get burgers and fries, you might as well go to the Max.
You might as well go to the Max
and get the full experience. Did you dress up?
We did not dress up, which is unlike us actually. Normally we would, but
Yeah,
we
I'm
did
surprised.
not. We did not this time. We're not above it.
I appreciate the restraint.
Yeah. that would have been a hard one. It's one thing to like change stuff for a role, but other like we're going to a Saved by the Bell restaurant. Ugh, okay, take it down.
She fully got her hair permed. I was thinking as I was heading here that I was sort of channeling a bit of Jessie Spano.
Oh, there is a little bit of that.
Because before I get this is stage 1 of the perm, and then they cut it into my like Ruth sort of shag mullet.
Yeah.
That really sells the 80s.
But I have to say, Brie, that your hair looks so cool that
On the show or right now?
Right now, it looks cool on the show and right now because that time period is like
cool.
fashionable. And so when you were like, "Oh, my hair," but it actually looks really cool.
You know, I don't mind it. In fact, it's been really fun. Before working on Glow, my hair was really long and brown and straight just for years. I think I was so terrified to cut it because, you know, you're booking jobs looking a certain way.
Yeah.
And you want to be recognizable to people once you've done some jobs.
Yeah.
And then every job I would book, I would be like, and maybe this character, should we cut her hair? Like maybe she's got a bob. And they'd be like, no, we just hired you to look the way you look. So doing this was really fun to come in for season 1. And I was like, I feel like my hair should look like Sigourney Weaver in Alien. And they were like, we agree.
That's cool.
And then it's been this fun hair journey for me because it kind of cracked everything where I think, you know, there's a great monologue in season 2 of Fleabag about hair being very connected to women's power and all this stuff. And I think it can be scary for women to make the jump into chopping their hair when they kind of associate long hair with beauty and things like that. Even though you realize that cute cuts are much more fashionable. Anyway, this is all to say that it really cracked it open for me once my hair was so crazy for the show.
Right.
Then between seasons, I'd be like, what should I do? Thicker bangs? No bangs. Chop it shorter than that. You know, dye it blonde. I was sort of like, got to have a lot more fun with it.
Well, and I also, the other thing I love about your Instagram is how much joy, because I think, and I don't know what you really feel about having to go to a lot of events and go to a lot of things, but it really feels like there's a lot of joy and like I get to experiment with a lot of different stuff and dress up and try a bunch of different things. And it's like that's a really fun part that it feels like you really are embracing and enjoying rather than feeling burdened by it.
I do have fun with it. I think that you're right that those are sort of the two options. So either you can get really overwhelmed and be like, ugh, why do I have to go do this?
Right.
Or you can sort of wrap your head around the fact that that is a big part of what our jobs are as actors. It's not, you don't really have the luxury, especially now, of being just like, I'm an actor and I get lost in roles, but I don't talk about my work. That it also just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think on the flip side is that I am really proud of the stuff I work on. And I love Glow so much. Like, I've been in a good place these past few years where I've really only been doing jobs that I really love. I don't feel like I've been taking a job just to work on something.
Right.
So I am really excited to talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
And also some sort of switch flipped even in the past couple years where I started just feeling incredibly grateful to have fans that watch the stuff that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe it did come from a place of feeling very overwhelmed and bombarded by lots of stuff and getting fully shut down and then going, wait a minute. It's so great I get to do this thing and people watch it and they like it and oh god, it's so hard. I have to go do a Q&A for an hour and then stand there for 30 minutes while people tell me how much they love me and love the thing I worked on, like twist my arm, and especially with Glow because it's been such a special experience all around. I love the women I work with and the men.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown a lot as a person through doing it. So when you're so connected to a job, it means even more when people like it and appreciate it.
Well, you've worked on so much cool stuff, though. I mean, like,
I have.
You have this amazing, it's just like Mad Men was fantastic, but then Community was great. Just this gem. And Community is sort of like, it's sort of like Firefly in that way that people are like, they always are going to want you to make more.
Community, it's so funny. We just did our a 10-year reunion panel at Vulture Fest.
That's crazy. 10 years.
I know. Well, since our first season, not since the final season.
But still a decade.
I know. It is pretty crazy. And it was so fun to be together to do this panel and realize how excited people still are about that show and about us doing a movie, which we probably will never do.
I wouldn't be so sure because
I know.
The reason being that these types of shows, I mean, look, at the end of the 90s, they were probably like, well, Friends will probably have some life in home video, but
totally,
or The Office or whatever. People watch these shows streaming because they're just fun to, like, you can drop into any episode and just get lulled into a sense of nostalgia and safety and fun and comedy.
Definitely. And I think the further that I get from it, the more my personal nostalgia grows for Community. So maybe right after we wrapped, I was like, Jesus, a movie? No, we've been through so much already. Whereas now it was a tumultuous run.
Listen, it was the beginning of that show should have been like that like when you get on Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland, get ready, buckle up, here comes the wildest ride in the West.
We had no idea. But even just gearing up for this 10-year reunion, which again was probably 2 hours of my life, getting to Vulture Fest, taking some photos and doing this panel.
Yeah.
But they had asked us beforehand to tell them our favorite episode so that we could talk about it on the panel. And in nerd mode, I was like, yes, it was very Annie from Community. It was very me just being like, I'm going to take this very favorite episode. Okay, this is a daunting task. I'm going to have to rewatch some episodes. Okay, let me hit the ones I think might be my favorite first. And I did this sort of deep dive. We used to watch as a cast. We really watched all the episodes of Community as they aired.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if we were shooting the show while they were airing, which was the first half of the season, usually, we would go into the craft service truck that had a TV and on Thursday nights go in there and watch while we were shooting.
Really nice.
It's on. We were so excited about the show. So I've watched every episode, but haven't watched them again since they came out, and it was so fun.
That's nice.
To watch them back, I started to feel so nostalgic for it. And then when we got to the panel, and of course they were just like, we had everyone submit questions for the panel, and we basically just got 100 of the same question, which is, when are you doing the movie? I was like, God bless you guys. I'm in. I guess I'm in. Let's do it.
That's the thing, that with streaming, these resurgent swells can happen. Yeah. And I don't see why, unless it was like a legal issue, but I don't see why they wouldn't.
I think it's an issue of like, could we get everyone back together?
So it's NBC, they have their Peacock streaming service. Maybe it's the kind of thing where they come to you and they go, hey, let's just shoot a movie. Like, we're just going to do like a community reunion movie and put it on the streaming. Like, I totally see something like that happening.
I agree, but I feel like my problem still stands that you know,
too buff.
That I'm too buff. It all comes back to that, where they're like, Annie, she doesn't have muscles.
Well, she does now.
Hey, anything could happen.
You don't know.
I think it's going to be like, is there any world in which Donald's schedule,
right,
and Dan Harmon's like ability to write the script in a timely fashion and have a script for us to perform?
You mean in the middle of these 70 episodes of Rick and Morty they're making right now?
You know,
like maybe they're. But I totally think that like everyone was so. I mean, that was such a springboard for everyone and such a special moment in time.
Yeah.
That. I think if everyone in the cast went on to win Oscars for stuff and was, booked 5 years in advance, that everyone would be like,
still be a little bit like,
still gonna make time to go shoot for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, like anything to come back and make this happen. Because that, for you guys, that was like, I mean, it almost weirdly was sort of like a community college experience.
It totally was. It really was. I mean, for me, it was like a comedy clinic.
Yes.
Because I had been working on Mad Men for a couple years, but otherwise I hadn't done a lot of work on television or in films like after college. And I just was watching all these people. It was like me connecting to what makes me funny, having never realized before Community that I was a comedic actress.
Right.
And so tapping into just like, oh yeah, there's like, I have a great sense of humor, and like we can use that and have fun and be silly. And then also watching Joel and Donald and even Chevy and seeing everybody's levels of like everybody really came at comedy in a different way. You know what I mean? Joel's like wit and sarcasm.
Yeah.
Chevy, falling off stuff.
Yeah. The physical comedy gets harder.
It gets a little harder as you get older.
But that's what you're training for.
That's exactly what I'm training for. So I'll be totally prepared to fall over chairs. Anyway, it was just a fun.
You'd be at 60,
really
be like, throw a table at me. I can take it.
Come on, punch me.
Knock me down.
No, it was a great community, and I community. I feel like we all had such a fun time together. That's what I thought of most when I was rewatching episodes, is like I could vividly remember the behind the scenes inside jokes that we were doing while shooting certain episodes.
Yeah.
And things that would stay in our brains. And like, I just love those goofballs. Like, we still, our running group text chain is like a daily thing.
Well, I think it also is good because, listen, you said, I've been so lucky to work on all these things that I've really enjoyed, but you make those choices. Like, not everyone, I mean, obviously you're getting opportunities, but I feel like you are creating those opportunities because you believe in yourself as a performer.
Definitely. But also, I think that luck is also involved in a major way. Like the year that I auditioned for Community, I also auditioned for a pilot called $2 Beer that didn't get picked up. I could have as easily booked that job and been like, I'll take it.
Right.
I do think I've gotten lucky because you watch very talented people do pilot after pilot every year.
Yeah.
And stuff that you go, oh yeah, I could see how that sounded great. And the people behind it are awesome. But then it just didn't work. And then you also realize how it really is magic when things work. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I felt on Glow, because I think probably because coming from Mad Men and Community, it was like, can it happen again?
Certainly not a third time.
And working with a lot of women on the show who haven't worked on a show before, I felt like I was like an old fogey trying to be like, guys, you don't even realize, like, this doesn't happen all the time. We're super lucky. This is crazy. Like, our chemistry's amazing and the magic has happened.
Yeah, it is hard to, especially if that's your first job, to have an amazing job.
Yeah.
And then go to a second job thinking like, oh, this is going to be.
I guess every show is a hit show. I mean, Mad Men was essentially my first TV job. So I guess I had a bit of that.
Yeah, but what's great is that now that you've done this like 3 times in a row, I feel like the business trusts you.
Yes.
And so you're going to get even more and, other opportunities because you have been a part of it.
I hope so.
There's just no question. Like I don't know. I'm because you can do dramatic stuff, but you also are such a phenomenal comedy actor too. So I just feel like there's so much that you can do.
Thank you.
The question will be, how will you, trusting your gut, how do you know what to pick? How do you not, not listening to someone, oh, you should do this. I don't know if I should do, no, trust me,
That is the most daunting thing, definitely, as we're going into our final season of Glow. This is going to be the 4th and final season.
Yeah.
So it's so nice it's a real luxury to know in advance that it's the last season, because in addition to our showrunners getting to write like an amazing final season and tie everything up in a bow, we also have a slight jump start on like, great, gonna be free, looking for other work starting in June. So that's a great advantage, but it's interesting as I'm like reading stuff and even just trying to wrap my head around that, which is kind of difficult to do while we're still gearing up to shoot the finals. It's like I'm not ready to say goodbye to Glow yet, even though they're like, you should be thinking about the next thing now. It's like, I'm not ready. But it's a tricky thing to sort of weigh. Yes, it's exactly what you're talking about, where there's a lot of people who will be like, on paper, this is the job. This is the job you should do next. Or this makes sense career-wise from where you've been already. And I do think gut has a lot to do with it. And I also think we're all always growing and changing. I certainly feel like have grown and changed, and my taste has changed. And the things like, as you work on something, then certain things get fulfilled. So now looking at the next thing, you're like, well, what else hasn't been like, I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And I really feel like I haven't.
Not
is the
at
other
all.
Luxury is like from Mad Men to Community to Glow. It's like, what else?
And also not just 3 different types of shows, but 3 completely different characters.
Thank you.
So it is... For you, I think it's going to be the sort of fun thing of like, oh, wow,
who's the next person?
What do I want to do?
Totally.
Do I want to be some weird this or like a,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all that stuff. And kind of saying, and weighing that against even my own life, I guess, and who I am and my age and you know what I mean? Where you start to go like, and now I feel this way as a person. And then the other factor too of, I think, the kind of people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
And in that way, Glow has been so opposite to Community in terms of just the tumultuous nature of Community as a show.
Yeah.
There were some volatile people. There was a lot of uncertainty, always on the bubble, getting pulled off the air, getting pulled back on the air, Dan Harmon getting fired, rehired, getting canceled, getting picked up by Yahoo Screen.
Right.
Do you remember the infamous Yahoo Screen? It had 1 year.
I remember moderating the panel when Dan came back.
That was exciting.
At Comic-Con.
Yes.
And then Dino Stamatopoulos asked a question from the audience. Like, he stood in line and asked a question. He was like...
Starburns.
Yeah. So, Dan, I guess unfuck Sony then? Or whatever it was. And Dan was like, all right. And it was...
That was a good Dino impression.
Yeah, so he was harassing Dan because... And Dan was like on his best behavior. So he was like, okay, all right. Yeah, we get it,
I agree. And next question?
Next question. No. I just want to make sure that we're clear,
Totally.
I think that was the year he came out as Iron Man and like an Iron Man in like the boxes.
Sounds right.
And
sounds right.
I think. I can't remember, but
maybe we were in like the biggest hall at Comic-Con.
You were.
Comic-Con for Community, that's insane. Our fans are the best.
Yeah, it was like 7,000 people,
That's
7,000 people.
But anyway, I guess so the flip side of that has been this like female oasis of like feminist power on the set of Glow, where things have been super harmonious. And there's always a lot going on making a show and a lot of personalities and a lot of things happening, but having a very united cast and crew and, it just checked so many boxes. And also you're like, oh, okay, so it is possible to have like a pretty great, the community environment was great. So I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say. But
I know what you mean.
Like,
you just mean in terms of the environment. Like it didn't feel, I think you're just talking about the volatility and how little control over it everyone felt.
Yes.
And this, to me, what you're saying, just like this show just feels like the production just feels very comfortable.
Yes.
And
everyone's
that's different.
like, yes. There's just like a real lack of drama for a show with 15 female characters. There's a real lack of drama, needless drama.
And also not showing up, everybody being like, so we're working next week, right?
Yeah.
Guys?
The show, are we still shooting, but it's not airing? Cool, good to know.
I've been reading some weird stuff on the internet. Are we sure we're going to be here next week? I mean, that's a whole other layer of, because everything just feels so impermanent in this business anyway.
Yeah. Well, and also, not to really get into this stuff, but it's also such an interesting time with women in our industry and men in our industry and kind of cleaning house and sort of getting rid of a lot of nefarious characters.
Absolutely.
And women being able to kind of own their power. And certainly Glow has been that way, being that it's a show run by women and created by women and being number one on the call sheet and me feeling like I have more of a voice there, even because of that. But so as I look forward to the next thing, it feels like also it really was different. It's been really different working with so many women in a really good way. So I've also worked with a lot of great men. I always want to work with men and women, but there is a sense of like, as I look forward to the next thing too, where I'm kind of like, and I want women. I want women to be involved. Well, also, are there going to be women around, or
also then no one can ever make the argument again of like, well, I don't know. She was like, no, fuck you, dude. We fucking did it, and we did it like perfectly. So
yes, it's this fun time of like I feel we've all been moving forward, and now it's up to us to continue to move forward in the way that we make decisions to produce a show, attach to a show, who we want to work with.
I feel like there are so many antiquated ideas from the old media business about who can open a movie and who can star in this thing. And it's like, what I feel like what the streaming services like Netflix have shown is, when they're not so, like when networks were so afraid to try anything, Netflix is like, look, we're making so much program, we're going to try. And then that was the proving ground. It's like, yeah, it works. You make a good show, and a good show is a good show,
Definitely,
And so I'm so happy for you, and I also think that now that you know how to do it, like your next job, like you can take this model into your next job.
Yes,
because you've done it.
I hope so. Yes, I think so. That is the plan. I feel like also, in that sense, 2019 was a really great year because my husband and I both wrote movies, and he directed his and I acted in it. It's called The Rental.
Fantastic.
And I co-wrote mine with Jeff Baina, and we co-produced it with the Duplass brothers and for Netflix.
Horse Girl?
This is Horse Girl, and I star in it. And it was really fun, both, low budget movies, small productions, but it was so fun to be, to watch Dave first. It was the whole process, not to relate everything to my wonderful husband, but it was really fun because I watched him as he was writing this movie with Joe Swanberg. And then that really inspired me to write a movie with my friend. And so everything was happening and then it was like, we're getting our movie made. And then it was like, we're getting our movie made. We shot his movie in April. We shot our movie in June. It was really just kind of like this whole
really
fun
nice
experience. And so I got to watch as he was putting his crew together, and he was like, he had such a strong vision for his movie but was really like, I just don't want to work with assholes. This is a small production. We have a little amount of time to do a lot of stuff, and I want it to be exactly what I want it to be, and I want really good people, but I believe that I can hire really good people who are really good at their jobs and also not assholes, and I'm going to prove that it's possible. And he did, and it was just the most wonderful experience. Christian Spranger shot it, who shot our first season of Glow. He shoots all of Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
We shot it in Oregon, and it just was like the most harmonious. And in a 5-week shoot, we shot 3 solid weeks of nights, and people were getting sick left and right. and it was still the greatest group of people, no complaining, having so much fun. And then with Horse Girl, it was really the same. I mean, the Duplass brothers are so wonderful. And we did it for Netflix, and Mel Eslin was another one of our producers, and Alana Carruthers, and the Duplass, everybody at Duplass is so supportive, first of all. And Horse Girl is a kooky movie. And we also, we wrote a 35-page outline, and we improvised all the dialogue in the movie.
Oh my gosh.
So, for the most part.
Wow.
So, it's a hard sell to some people, but not to those guys. Not scared of that at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, listen.
Of course.
I think they shot Creep on iPhones. You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, they were like, for Blue Jay, we had a 1-page outline, and we shot a whole movie based on it. We were like, oh, great. So you're not afraid of our very detailed 35 pages? I think at one point, Mark Duplass, as we were like agreeing to, go into business with each other, he was like, to Jeff and I, he was like, I don't need to know every detail. Did you get a chance to watch the movie?
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
Okay. Sorry. I tried to get them to send it to you. But he was like, I don't know if I need to understand every aspect, but do you guys know what's going on? And we were like, we definitely do.
That's a great producer question.
He was like, great, then I'm on board. And anyway, it was the same type of thing where everybody, and I do find this actually a lot about independent film, because the people that are there to do it are doing it because they love their jobs, they love the material, or they love the people that are already involved. So it was just another absolute love fest. And it did make me feel good about producing and more getting on the other side of the camera and being a part of putting the job together to ensure that it is the love fest that I want it to be.
Yeah, but how exciting is that? Because listen, you can act and stuff and go, oh, look, hey, I watch this thing. But this, like, you ideated this, like, this was you manifested this thing out of thin air. You guys manifested this out of nothing. That's an incredible feat.
I'm super excited about it. I kind of still can't even believe it, because we put the whole thing, it all has also came together very quickly. We wrote it in 2018, we shot it in 2019, and it's coming out February 7th.
Incredibly fast as for movies.
It was like a summer to summer in terms of putting it together, which was so great. And yeah, it's the first thing I've ever written. And it was it was so cool to have a partner like Jeff, because he's also so on board. And basically, I think I wouldn't have, this was a good toe dipping into writing. And we're actually working on another thing together now, because I just think I didn't have the courage to do something first on my own, to just sit down alone, pen to paper, and be like, I'm going to flesh out this idea.
I totally understand what you mean. You want to work with someone who's experienced. I mean, like, the first thing that I ever wrote was with a much more experienced person, because I'm like, I don't know how that works.
And I think it's like you want some validation of, or I called my managers early on to be like, I'm thinking of writing this thing, and sort of soft pitched part of the idea. And they were like, we don't know about that. I mean, like, already at 2-sentence pitch level, they were already like, what if it was more like this? What if there were less, ideas about aliens?
But you got to do it the way that you wanted to.
Well, I was like, okay, never mind. I'll just never talk to you guys about it again. And I'm going to go pitch it to my other friend.
Yeah, P.S. And especially since we're talking about, like, when Netflix has, like, all of everything, there isn't an idea that's too. We took a screenshot of it. There's a goddamn show on Netflix called The Sniffer, and it's about a guy who sniffs things.
No.
He's like the mentalist, but he sniffs things. It's a Russian show. There's like multiple seasons of it. And, for anyone who's ever pitched a show to Netflix and not had him pick it up, and you're like, but The Sniffer?
But The Sniffer? Really? Yeah. Really? You guys were...
But the point is, there's so much room to create the most specific idea. Like, the more specific, the better.
Definitely. And I think I also sort of was feeling like, look, ideas... derivative ideas will always get made, and they will continue to get made on a mass level of, like, studio heads are still scared, I think, to make things that are too different.
Sure. Because they don't want to lose their jobs if it doesn't work.
Exactly. The stakes are very high, and there's millions millions of dollars involved. But for me, on a small level, if I'm going to write something for myself to star in, it's because I want to give myself the opportunity to do something I've never done before.
Yeah.
And I want it to feel really unique and different. And I think I feel most proud that I truly believe that this movie feels unlike anything you've seen before. You might have little touch tones of like, you know, I don't know, whatever references you might find, but it is very different and unique. And that was scary too. Even while we were making it, I feel like every other day I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever existed. And then the next day I'd be like, I don't know. Maybe it's terrible. I don't know what we're doing. But that was exciting too, because I was just sort of like, I'd rather just really fail at something that's cool and different, I think.
Well, you would, but it can't fail. Like there is
right. It's already we had an amazing experience making it. And I love it.
Yes. You literally cannot fail. And also, because it's Netflix, it doesn't have to make $100 million.
Definitely.
And the audience is going to love it. Like the people, I mean, it just isn't.
Its audience will find, and it's definitely not for everyone. I think that was a fun conversation to have with everyone involved, and even Netflix being like, totally.
Yeah.
Like, and to kind of feel good about that. Like, it's fun to make something that's maybe not for everyone.
Yes,
Certain
because that means you're saying something.
Like this at all.
That means you're saying something.
Right.
Can I pick your brain about just some like writing advice and stuff? Just as
I mean, you could try.
No, because it was, I have not written a movie yet, but I really want to write a horror film. And so how did you even though you kind of did the outline and improvised the dialogue, how were you motivating was it a daily thing? Did you have a daily routine, or did you kind of wait to get struck by inspiration?
It was a daily thing. I mean, the funny part about also Baina and I coming together and then finding that we love collaborating together is like, a lot of it was born out of convenience because we live very close to one another. And we are good friends. And Aubrey, his girlfriend, and I are good friends. And I had worked with him on a couple of his movies. So I'd worked with him on Joshi and also The Little Hours that Dave was in as well. Yeah. And we often just get together and take long hikes, Jeff and I, like 2+ hour hikes around the canyon, talking about all these different things and sometimes talking about ideas and this and that. So it was sort of born out of that. And I feel like it started with us on a hike, me saying, let me talk to you about this idea, feeling very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And then the longer we even on that first hike, yeah, I'm into it. And then, an hour or two, and what if this happened? Yeah, I could see that. And what if this happened? And what if this happened? And then we probably did 2 more just long hikes of talking about the idea. And then we started to really, again, this was, not last summer, but the summer before. And, I really wasn't working. So it was also sort of a chance to be like, I'm not liking anything I'm reading. And then I'm bored. I don't want to lose my mind.
Right.
And we live quite close to one another. So we would just set up our schedule every week. And it would probably be 3 or 4 days a week where I would walk over to his house and we would write for 6 hours. Both of us with our computers open in Final Draft, typing on the same, open document.
Yeah.
Because someone was just asking me this. They were like, does he do a pass and then send it to you and you do a pass? I was like, not at all.
Oh, you were doing the collaboration.
It was very simultaneously in collaboration sitting. And so we just started with a super loose outline of here's the idea and here's kind of who this character is and what other characters are there. And then kind of delved into and what's her routine? And then just kind of every time we'd go back through it and comb through again and again and kind of spread out the world a little more. She needs another, what else does she have in her life? What other people does she have? What if this guy did this? And yeah, really, then that was kind of the thing. And then kind of honing in and then getting more and more detailed, even though it is based on an outline. This is probably, I feel like, certainly for Jeff, I feel like this is the most intricate improvised movie that has existed. There are loops of time and, there are themes we're exploring that are kind of complicated. So there was a lot of then combing back through it to be like, is this landing? Are we connecting this? Does this make sense? In what realm is this, doing that? And also there are a lot of personal aspects to it, because the impetus for the whole idea was sort of about my personal family history and things like that. So it was like, and then going back through for the emotional, once it got to a good place, I think doing passes for all those kind of different things of like, is it making sense on multiple watches? Would everything still make sense? Are we?
So you were just asking as many questions as possible, and then trying to answer those questions. Because a lot of the dialogue was improvised. Were other people in the movie? Did you have like rehearsals or like get people together to try to kind of to get to know each other a little bit?
We really didn't end up having time to do that, because a lot of the people, again, on such a small production, people are. You can kind of get people when you get people. So people are like flying in and then shooting the next day for a week and then they're gone.
Right.
But pretty much with all of the actors, I think with every actor, we did either a Skype meeting or a face-to-face, like hour-long meeting to go through all the scenes and just sort of discuss their arc and what happens in each scene. Because the way that Bena does these improvised movies, it's not as loosey-goosey as you might think.
Okay.
And so each scene is really, it's more just like we want the actual dialogue to be improvised so it sounds like it's organic and is coming out of these people's mouths. But when you read the outline, it's paragraphs of this person enters the room and says this doesn't say this, but it's like...
It's not like an improv game.
And it's not as freeform as, again, my husband Dave has worked with Joe Swanberg on his show Easy, and he's like, sometimes we'd be shooting these scenes where we'd be talking about something, and then we'd get into some other thing that wasn't even really part of the thing, and Joe would be like, go there. And I'm like, oh, we would not be. We'd be like, sorry, no.
We don't have time to do that.
We actually have these 3 major plot points you're going to have to hint at in the next 4 sentences. And then it becomes really like the first take, we would start with a wide shot and do that a few times. And by the 3rd take of the wide, we would pretty much lock in the dialogue. And then even by the time we would come in for coverage, sometimes our script supervisor would type up the dialogue. It'd be almost like your memory, like on the spot, you're like, oh, great. So that's what we're saying in the scene now.
Oh, that's great.
So it was really fun. And especially because in the little hours, it was all in Jeff's mind, and I was one of those actors being like, oh, interesting. And also we were 14th century nuns, improvising, but very comedically. And that was a little scary, and I was still sort of learning how Jeff worked. And this time it was a real great advantage having created it with Jeff and being the main character that's in every scene, because there was just a lot less left up to question, you know what I mean? And if an actor is improvising in a scene with me, I can be guiding the scene sort of towards where it's meant to go.
Absolutely. And it also, like, it really... You've built this really empowering career, which I feel like you're allowing yourself to say, like, rather than settling for just whatever is out there, you're able to say to yourself, like, what do I want to do? And what do I want to explore? And I feel like your biggest challenge moving forward is going to be, because I would imagine you're going to get more right. This is going to lead to a whole other grove of opportunities. So. And so you're going to be like, do I want to write more? Do I want to act more? How do I know? I mean, it's going to...
Definitely.
Which sounds like a luxury, but it'll be stressful because you'll be like, oh, God, I like all of it. What do I do?
Even already, because this idea, because it's so personal to me and had been something that I had been thinking about for probably 10 years, you know what I mean? Like my whole life, sort of like concepts that are baked into this that are like just so personal that I am a little bit like, well, maybe that was my one idea. Do you know, like, what is the next idea? I don't really know. It took me so long to have the courage to share this first idea with anyone.
Right.
I'm not like this machine of like, or this, and how about this pitch about this? And all right, I got a mystery for you. I got a comedy. I got a, so that certainly will be interesting to me.
I wonder, this might be, oh God, what I'm about to say might sound super pretentious or really stupid, and I apologize, but I'm just sort of thinking about Trudy, Annie, and then Ruth. Like, I'm thinking about how...
I want you to know that a lot of people make connections with them. You're not the first.
Well, think about if you think about like where you like what your sort of place in the business was and what Trudy's role on Mad Men was,
that's
just sort of like, you know what, I'll just sort of take whatever's dealt to me because that's how you make.
Yeah,
Annie,
and make the best of it.
Annie was still, you know, like still trying to come out of a shell, and then Glow is like, so like your characters have sort of evolved with your standing in the business in an interesting sort of a way.
This actually is not the connection I thought you were going to make.
What do you think the connection is?
A lot of people like to point out that, like, you know, Trudy's daughter could have been Ruth, and then Ruth's daughter is Annie.
Yeah. Oh, the literal, yeah.
Like a very literal
No.
time.
I was going for the, you know, two people smoking behind a coffee. I was like, well, what if this represents the...
It's true. No, it's very true. I hope that, I mean, I would hope that my work does reflect that. And I guess that is sort of what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about looking forward to the next thing, that like, I can't disassociate sort of, yes, where I am, what my current mindset is about my place in the business, or about how I feel about myself as a woman or a person or a working person, actor. Like, it does inform the thing. You know what I mean? Not like, not saying that I don't want to play like a meek person. And in fact, in Horse Girl, Sarah is a very quiet, sort of awkward girl. But she does actually sort of find an interesting source of power. Anyway, but yes, I do think that there is something to, I don't know. It's like I'm not articulating it, but there is something to, as I grow and change as a person and come into my own power more and like feel more confident and comfortable expressing my ideas and you know, having a voice. I do think that my work is influenced by that, and I hope it continues to be more.
What is it that you want to, I mean, do you have any sort of broad goals about what you want to say with, you know, or like what types of things you want to, like, have you thought about it that far in advance, or is it just sort of a, you know, as it comes, you just kind of see what feels right?
I think the latter. I don't know that there is like this broad general thing. I think it's more like, again, it's case to case basis, because with every job I do, I go, all right, now I filled that hole of wanting to do that. So what's the new hole that I'm trying to fill, or the new thing that I feel like I haven't done, or something new that I've uncovered as I've matured in life that now I'm noticing that I didn't notice before. And then I think from there, it's also about, you know, this exciting moment, even in my own household, like, Dave wrote a movie and I wrote a movie, and now the next logical step to both of us is like, we should write something together so we can do another thing together. And what thing do we want to tap into there? And then it just comes more, I think, from a place of just, what I want to do or uncover, things that feel unique and different and things like that.
I have a startling confession to make, which is that, and this is something that I have a little bit of an avoidance issue with shows that I like. I never watched the last couple episodes of Mad Men. And in fact, like, and I was the same with Deadwood. I loved that show, and I did not watch the last episode of Deadwood for like 5 years.
But did you watch it recently? Because then they did the Deadwood movie.
Yeah, but since I didn't watch I did actually watch the last episode. Yes, but there's a weird avoidance thing that I have, because like I don't want it to be over. And so like I avoided I know what happens in the last episode, because it's been
read the
years.
articles.
I've read the articles and people have told me and everything. But there are shows that I get really attached to that it's really hard for me to like let go of. But I know that near the end, Trudy was having none of Pete's shit anymore.
But they came back around and actually had an incredibly romantic and happy ending.
Did they? Okay, good.
So maybe you should have watched, because the second to last episode may be some of my best work on that show.
I know it's a weird thing to admit and to say, but it is hard for me to... because I guess in my mind, like, it's still happening. It's still an open loop out there.
I guess it surprises me because it's so easy to rewatch stuff. Like, I think I am more like, I race to finish it, and then I watch it again.
For me, there's a little bit of, I know this sounds weird, but I get, like, weirdly sad as people do.
that.
I get emotional like when a
Get
show
really attached to the
yes, and so it's hard for me to let it go.
Yeah.
And so when I don't watch the last episode or two, it's sort of like
it's still current. It's like
yes, I'm delaying the sort of like this is going to bum me out that this is ending.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I had to watch the last episode of Breaking Bad because I was hosting a show about it, and it was a perfect ending.
I just watched all of Breaking Bad for the first time ever.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, it's incredible.
It's a journey. Like it's an incredible.
Dave loves when I come to something like very late, but then have my hot take, and he'll get home, and I'll be like, babe, Breaking Bad, great show. Oh my God, Cranston's incredible. He's like, honey, don't say this to anyone else.
I don't know if you've seen this Breaking Bad program.
Recently, I guess a couple years ago when, what was the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie about the dressmaker?
Oh yeah,
Phantom
the Thread.
Which we were obsessed with Phantom Thread, and we do this often. Like recently, when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, we went back and rewatched all of Tarantino's movies, and when Phantom Thread came out, we went back and watched all P.T. Anderson's movies, which have always been such my favorite movies. He's one of my favorite directors. And we rewatched There Will Be Blood, and we're brushing our teeth, and I was like, God, Daniel Day-Lewis. Let me be the first to say, greatest actor of our time.
He's pretty good, turns out.
He's like, honey, don't repeat that.
They just start tweeting that. D. Lewis, pretty good. I don't know if you guys have noticed this.
Joaquin Phoenix, incredible actors.
You know what's been really interesting is that since Joker broke all these records and everything, we've seen a glut of movies on Netflix that Joaquin Phoenix was in that I guess just either never got released or whatever. But it's that thing of like, oh shit, now's the time. So it's just like all these movies that we've never heard of that he's starring in. They're like, when did these get made? And they were just sitting on it like, I don't know what to do. Look, now, get them out now.
I love doing that on Netflix or also even just on iTunes. You'll go on iTunes, it's like all the new releases. Yeah. But then there's like a bunch of Will Ferrell movies, and you'll be like, and then trying to guess and do the math backwards of like, oh, what does Will have coming out that we should, or who just got nominated that's up here now?
That's the thing. I think sometimes there are those movies that for whatever reason, they make them and then they just kind of sit around and then.
Done a few of those.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, now, get out now.
Yeah. Oh, this is on again.
Where'd you put that, Joaquin? I put it right here. I don't know where it is. Oh, get it up. Gotta get it on Netflix.
Definitely.
But again, it's just terrifying. It's such an odd, interesting, and also exciting time in terms of content platforms. It's just like there are a lot of options now, but everything's just so up in the air about what's gonna stick around, what's gonna be the thing,
it scares me a little because now there's just so many. It's overwhelming. So now it's the opposite where it's like there's tons of work. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to work.
Yeah.
There's tons of shows getting made, but which ones will break through? Which ones will connect with people? There are so many good actors working on really good shows that no one's watching.
Yeah, because it's not even about will the show connect with people. Will the platform that it's on connect with people?
Will they get behind it? Are people watching Apple Plus and Disney Plus? And, I bought them all. I get them all. Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? I try to take a real stand and be like, I'm not going to get every I should watch the morning show. Everyone's talking about it.
I'm not going to get everything, but I can write it off because it's technically a business expense.
We'll just do the trial year and then we'll see if we resubscribe.
Dave, we have to go to a lot of events. People are going to ask about stuff, and just to not look like assholes, we have to watch everything, I guess.
Watch everything.
Just keep up on all of it. Do you have anything else? So after Glow, do you know what the next thing is, or have you not thought it? Are you not looking at it?
I don't really. I mean, I have this other movie that I've just kind of written with Baina, so our next project that we're sort of going to be taking out and pitching, and hopefully we'll be able to shoot that later this year. And I'm going to be directing again on this season of Glow. Fantastic. So I'm really excited about that. And I guess I do have, I'm about to, you know what? I can talk about this because they're announcing it tomorrow. Is
Okay.
I'm about to shoot this movie, Happiest Season, with Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis.
Oh, wow.
And an amazing cast of like Mary Steenburgen, Aubrey Plaza. And it's a holiday family comedy. It's great. That centers around a gay couple, which is like just great. You know, it's like a studio comedy.
That's fantastic.
Holiday fun movie. I'm really excited.
You are living the dream, Alison
It's the best.
Brie.
The only funny thing about working on Happiest Season is I'm shooting it before we start shooting season 3 of Glow.
Okay.
But because I'm shooting it right up until we start shooting Glow, they've permed my hair. And anyone who's seen Legally Blonde knows
Yes.
that a perm takes a few days to set in. You can't wash your hair for a few days.
Okay.
And then, so for Glow, it's always like, it's like a 5-day process between getting the hair permed, letting the perm set for a few days, washing it, giving it another day to kind of settle. Then they cut it into like the Ruth cut.
Right.
So because I'm going straight from this one production into Glow, they're like, we'll allow you to do this movie, but you're going to have to perm your hair before shooting that movie so that it's ready to go.
So you
for
have permed
Glow.
hair in this movie.
Yes, but I think, well, and I just was out there prior to getting it permed, meeting with the hair and makeup department, and they were like, great, we're going to style your hair super straight. I was like, I will have a perm. I should let you know. And the woman's look on her face, the hairdresser, just, why?
I just think it's coming back is all.
Funny story. So that's sort of the funniest, but you can blow it out and straighten it. I mean, it's just, who knows what will happen to the hair, but I'm very excited to do this movie. Clea Duvall's directing it.
Oh, wow.
And I think it'll be out for the holidays in 2020. So,
Oh, that's a pretty quick turnaround.
it is, but I feel like that's the plan.
That's great.
And it's just super fun. I've been rewatching all these holiday movies to get in the mood. And also it just was the holidays. So
Yeah.
it just made a lot of sense to watch them.
Oh yeah. Well, I watched a few of them. My wife would have these showings of holiday movies.
Oh my gosh.
But they were really looking for like the ones where, you know, you could still see the stickers on the bottom of the shoes in the wardrobe, or in one scene, someone's helping someone zip up a dress, and then in the reverse shot, there's no zipper on the dress. It's like those.
What movies are these?
They're just like holiday movies on different streaming
Oh,
services.
these are like the generic.
the generic ones.
I have been rewatching like the classic holiday movies, and by classic I mean Home Alone.
Christmas Prince.
Yeah.
Oh, Home Alone. Yeah. Okay,
You know,
that's a classic
I mean, like
one.
Home Alone and like
You're talking about real studio movies.
The Holiday.
Sure.
I consider a classic.
Yeah. Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie, if anyone
I
is
didn't
curious.
rewatch Die Hard, but I do agree that it is a Christmas movie.
Takes place at a Christmas party. I don't
Home
know.
for the Holidays with Holly Hunter and Robert Downey Jr., which is a real great movie.
Yes.
And very strange.
Yeah, no, they watched they basically did like Mystery Science Theater, but with holiday movies.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I did watch some of those. I have friends that are in them,
Of
and I
course.
support it.
We supported it too. But holiday movies are sort of like holiday movies and horror are in the same sort of boat where people go, hey, you can make these real cheap, and if it could be a runaway hit.
Well, right, you're like,
Yeah.
there's gonna be an audience because there's always gonna be holidays.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
It's like these genres are sort of like the penny slots where they're like, you could hit it for like $100,000 with just a penny.
It's like
Yeah.
people will be in the mood
Yeah.
to watch holiday movies
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
least
yeah.
once a
Yeah.
year.
But you are making like a studio
But
film.
this is yes, with very talented actors.
Yes, like
and the script
full-
is really funny and fun.
The full thing.
Yes.
So we will watch your movie unironically.
Thank you. I'm assuming, hoping there will not be those kinds of
No.
mistakes.
No. And nothing against it.
No,
I
of
am
course.
so forgiving when it comes to making stuff because I feel like it's hard to get things made.
Oh my
and
God,
it's-
same.
The fact that anything gets made is a fucking miracle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially after watching my husband's movie and my movie, like getting our movies made.
Yeah.
We have had such empathy for every production going forward where you're just like, Congrats on doing the thing.
You did this. Is hard.
You did the thing. It's a lot of work.
I haven't fucking made a movie.
It's a lot of work.
It is, and now you know this for a fact.
I do know it for real.
Well, I hope that you continue to do all the things that you want to do.
Thank you.
You've always been so cool to me, and you've done.
I love you.
You know, I have this screenshot from when you did something on Web Soup where it was called like cutie choo choo or something, where you were.
I don't remember this.
I'm going to show you the picture of it. There was like this animated like cutie choo choo thing, and then I think it was just showing these really like disturbing videos or something. And
my God, I do remember this.
I can't remember what they were.
Oh, they were like videos of people like popping a horrible cyst or something.
Yeah, but the setup was like, it's the cutie choo choo. Yeah. By the way,
was great.
Last question: Did you buy the Zool shirt? Did you said like you had like the Zool hair?
I did have the Zool hair,
Yeah.
but I didn't get a Zool shirt. What do you mean?
No, not Zool. The
No, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Wait, you do mean Zool.
Who was the hair? You had the hair. There was some picture that you posted on Instagram of.
It is Zool.
It is Zool, yeah. And I emailed you a link to this.
You emailed me the link to the shirt.
To this shirt, because I had literally just bought this shirt that says "Aim for the flat top."
I didn't buy the shirt.
I really wish we had
And
started with this, so I'd know how disappointed I would feel.
It genuinely took me that long even to remember what you were talking about.
Isn't it funny that in your head you're like, oh my God, I sent this thing. Was that a dumb? And then people are like, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
It was dumb.
Was it?
I didn't waste another thought on it. Here, I just only came to confirm that. We've had some. So, you know, Teresa Rivers, who was the head of our hair department on Mad Men,
Yes.
is the head of our hair department on Glow. And she's designed what Zoya the Destroyer,
Yes.
my wrestling character's hair looks like. But we did a season where there was overlap with another job. So we had like someone else coming in and like pitch hitting, styling the hair. And also I have had varying hair lengths and then it gets permed. Like I've come in with it shorter and this and that. So like the look, the way the Zoya look comes out is always slightly different. And there are some days where it's like kind of pointy, floppy, like flopping over like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
And then there are some days where it just looks so much like the end of Ghostbusters. And I love that movie so much. We're actually in the middle of rewatching it now because I just listened to the audiobook Wild and Crazy Guys about all those SNL guys from the 70s, like the original guys, and sort of
That's the one that kind of leans on Eddie Murphy too, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
It's basically Chevy, Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. You get like some sprinklings of Rick Moranis and John Candy and stuff like that. But it's sort of just about like how it's a very masculine book. I really enjoyed listening to it. It's definitely about like how they owned feature films in the 80s, like major motion pictures in the 80s, and like how they were the kings.
Right.
But you know, so there's a lot of good stories about Ghostbusters and things like that, which has always been one of my favorite movies.
Well, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a docuseries on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us.
I have seen it.
The Ghostbusters one?
We watched the Ghostbusters one and the Home Alone one.
How could you, like, I think I may have teared up a little bit when Harold Ramis's daughter was saying, you know, that he and Bill didn't talk after Groundhog Day much for whatever reason that no one knows. And then he shows up when Harold is sick.
Dying,
and then they spend all this time.
He doesn't even know where he lives, and the police.
He just shows up and asks the police, like, where's Harold Ramis live? And because he's Bill Murray, they're like, touching. Over there.
Yeah, we'll drive you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very touching. And this was actually very interesting to watch that in the midst of listening to the audiobook, because they do go into depth a little more about kind of what went on in Groundhog Day, which we also just rewatched a couple nights ago. And it's like, we're really hitting up, I don't know, we're just going through that.
Yeah, because I heard that he doesn't, that, you know, it's not his favorite thing to talk about, Bill Murray. Groundhog Day is not his favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah, sounds like he wouldn't want to talk about it.
But this book kind of explains some of the backstory on it?
It does, sort of. And It just sort of delves into people's behaviors and
Interesting.
things
Okay.
like that.
All right.
It's not my place to.
No spoilers. I
people's bad
I will
behavior.
listen to it myself.
Yes.
I will listen to it myself.
Groundhog Day, though, still a great movie. And
totally holds up.
Ghostbusters, my God.
Yeah.
All time.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver is my hair idol.
She is.
And my also like just a regular idol.
She's just phenomenal in everything.
And-
Everything. She does a take in Working Girl where she gets caught at the end for like scheming, and then they're like, get your bony ass out of her or something, and she just has this. I simply don't appreciate the way you're.
Ass. Yeah.
It's such an amazing
Don't use language like that.
It's
Her
such
voice.
it's so layered because it's like she's caught, but she still is a prideful character,
It's
and she's
so-
still she's amazing.
Well, watching, because in the book they talk about how Bill Murray was. I mean, it sounds like this is how he works on every one of his movies, is basically arriving day one of production.
Is he going to show up or
Definitely,
not?
no one's sure if he's even doing the
I think
movie.
he's in France. I don't
and then
know.
on the first day of filming, he does arrive, and everyone's relieved. And then he throws the script out, which he's read in the car, and then improvises all his scenes.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's been working great for him.
It's kind of worked out okay.
And you rewatch like this first scene where he goes to Dana Barrett's apartment in Ghostbusters, and he's like, this is all him improvising, like playing the keys on the piano and going, they hate that. And then you watch her in the scene, and she's so great too. Like, I just feel like I have even more respect also knowing that she had no idea what Bill Murray was going to do.
And she rolled with
and she's
it.
just staying in character, like she's so good.
Yeah, that movie, the craziest thing to me, start to finish, 10 months. That fucking movie.
That is the craziest thing. And when they were pointing out in the documentary about like the visual effects, they're like, don't hold too long on that shot.
And then they hold on it, you're like, oh my God. that doesn't-
What? Everyone just was like, yep, put it out. Great print. It's kind of amazing. It really is amazing.
Well, anytime you want to come, listen, anything you need, Alison Brie, anything
Thank
you
you.
need at all.
Thank you very
I don't even know what
much.
that would be. I don't even know what I could, but anything, if you need me to, if you need to bring I'll bring you a cup of sugar or something. If
I was
you
going
and Dave
to
run out
say
of
cup
sugar.
of sugar, and then I was like, it's so dated. Don't say cup of sugar.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to.
We were mind melding.
If you need a cup of internet, like I don't know what is.
I want you to
contemporary-
order things on Amazon just to buffer. Like if I want it, but if it's not good, then you have to keep it. That's the deal.
I'll be a task rabbit.
Great.
Yeah, if that were ever you. Thank you so much, Alison
Thank you for
Brie.
having me.
And then Horse Kill is people. It's available now. People should just go see it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Glow, which is also on
And
Netflix.
Glow, which is always on Netflix.
Always on Netflix. Season 4
Will be out later in the year.
Okay, great. The end.
ID10T scanning complete. Enjoy your burrito.